In a world where everyone knows everything. Yeah, right. One dad stands below everyone and yells, "I know nothing."
Please welcome.
This is the Dad Who Knows Nothing podcast.
Hey everyone, this is the Dad Who Knows Nothing. I'm grateful to have Jeff Later with us today. Jeff is owner of Later Fitness Program, and it is something that he has been doing for a while, 15 years in the fitness space, worked with over 6,000 individuals. So he knows what he's talking about. His program that he has right now is something that provides all of those bullet points that those successful programs provide, like support, accountability, tailored programs, tailored workout things. So all those things, Jeff, you're hitting those with your clients. So I'm glad you give me a few minutes today to talk about health and wellness and fitness.
I'm happy to be here. I always love to talk about these things, and I love the messaging that you have as well. I think we resonate on a lot of things.
Awesome. So, obviously, I think that health and fitness is something that everybody has an opinion on, right? So tell me kind of where your program came, where it came from, kind of your backstory of how you came to where you are today with you and your wife running this successful program.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a longer story. I honestly never really believed fitness to be a real career, and so it was something that I pursued only for my own personal interests, and I kind of took the traditional route, kind of what I thought I was supposed to do. Pursued a career in the corporate world after getting my degree, not in fitness. I got my degree in marketing and finance, did a double major at the University of Utah, and really kind of tried to climb the corporate ladder while pursuing my own fitness journey. And I would do personal training for years on the side, just helping a few clients in the morning before work. It was a great start to my day. Got a free gym membership, but it was just more pursuing my own personal fitness. That was the same way for my wife. And it wasn't until I started getting requests from friends and family, and I just kind of became the resource for friends and family to just help them and help provide help on nutrition, help with workouts, and that kind of carried on for a couple of years. And it wasn't until actually my boss at the time asked if I could help him get on a bodybuilding stage, which I had been competing for a number of years, just pursuing that, trying to get to the next level. And this friend of mine, my boss at the time, who actually is still my best friend to this day, he won his competition. He took first place, and that kind of led to him telling all these other people and all these inquiries, and it just kind of took off organically, way faster than we anticipated. I didn't really charge anybody at first. It was just kind of because I didn't feel qualified. Everything that I knew felt like it was obvious, and turns out it wasn't. And so I just started helping all these other people, and kind of got out of hand. And then we finally, okay, we probably should make a business out of this, and start charging people, which I still felt guilty about, because again, it felt like it was obvious stuff. And it just kind of grew from there. Eventually left my job in 2014, and here we are today, 6,000 individuals later. Actually, it's more like 10,000. I'd say is that 6,000 success stories. Not everyone's going to be 100% perfect, but it's a really, really high success rate because of our methods that we employ.
Nice. And I'm guessing the marketing and the finance helped out a little bit when starting this up and trying to get this thing going.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was all honestly, we didn't do any marketing the first, probably 6 years that we were in business. It was initially we didn't really have the bandwidth to handle any more than what we were doing, and it wasn't until we started hiring employees and started to grow the team and impacting more individuals where we started to figure out what the marketing is supposed to look like. Failed a lot initially because we were we had never done anything like that. Even though I had a degree in marketing, the world had changed. I got my degree in 2004. And, in social media and online marketing, it was completely different animal. A lot of principles are the same, but I didn't know how to make it work. So anyway, we obviously got that figured out, and we've gotten to a place now where, the program's in really high demand, and we've really honed in our technique and our method. And it's been incredibly effective. It's been a wild ride.
So, any big changes with the pandemic? Did you have to shift to more virtual, or was there always a virtual
Um,
component to your program?
no change at all. Other than because we've always been well, when it was just my wife and I when we started, we were not virtual, but we pivoted to that well before the pandemic. We pivoted to that in 2016. Um, and and so we didn't really change anything other than increasing the number of workouts that we could offer for home-based type of exercise. But we grew quite a bit in 2020, grew even more in 2021, and we're on pace to outdo 2021 this year. So it's if anything, it's probably made it a little bit more acceptable to work with a virtual trainer rather than somebody that's right there in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. And so, your coaches and the members of your team, are they all based in Utah where you're based, or are they all around the country?
All of my coaches are here. That hasn't always been the case. They do all work from home. It's everyone works remote. I Some of my other team members are out of state and some are out of the country. But it's yeah. Fortunately for our the majority of the team, we are close by within an hour's drive, and we get together for activities and we do learning days once a month, and it's very family like atmosphere within the company. It's really fun.
Nice. And I think that the pandemic taught us that there's a lot of things that we can do virtually and do successfully. But
Yeah,
I think that it also taught us the value of being in person as well for critical things. I think there will always be a piece that you can't replace virtually when you're able to get
yeah,
together.
yeah. Especially when it comes to relationships and
Oh
just that
yeah.
human interaction is really hard to mimic virtually. You can do a lot of things for sure. And I think in our aspect, I think what there's definitely some advantages with being virtual as a coach, because you can make yourself a little bit more available versus only seeing or interacting with that person when you're right in front of them. That there's a lot of inconvenience associated with that for a lot of people, and usually a higher cost. Like a personal trainer that only touches on one single aspect is going to cost a lot more than what we do, but we're 10 times more effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned that, you didn't feel like, you had a lot of the stuff going and a lot of the knowledge from your own personal journey in fitness, but you felt like maybe you weren't qualified to train others. Did you end up taking courses to become certified in different areas? And if so, what were they that's helped you, with your clients?
Well, I had been certified through multiple different personal training certifications prior to doing anything with this business. Um, I've actually kind of expanded more into personal development type of courses because I quickly realized that I couldn't help others if I couldn't help myself. And so I worked a lot on myself initially, and with all the thousands of books that I have, most of them are focused on that. I still do spend a great deal of time, learning more about different aspects of nutrition, different aspects of physiology, even pharmacology, and then also, obviously the exercise portion of that. Um, but really when it comes to understanding humans and our thought processes and what really holds us back, that's been a lot deeper work that I've had to do. And then also, I think when you initially start, you understand your own body pretty well, and other people that have bodies that are maybe similar to yours. But when you start to diversify and getting to, like I'm a 43-year-old Caucasian male, and working with, a 65-year-old woman that's been overweight her entire life, that she has much different problems, different path to getting her to optimal fitness. And so being able to diversify and understand all the different ways of getting there was a true challenge. But after working with so many different people, I feel like I've been able to master that. Still learning though. I don't think I'll ever know everything. No one will, and so I try to remain humble and open minded to different things, and being willing to learn new things all the time.
Nice. So let's get into some of the stuff with weight loss, nutrition, that sort of thing. So we talked about this before we started recording. it seems like as a society, we want more and more from a quick fix standpoint. We want
Yeah.
the thing that's gonna, the specific way of eating that we're gonna do for 30 days and we're gonna lose 5 pounds. The drink that we're gonna drink for 3 days and do nothing else and we're gonna lose 5 pounds. What do you think leads the best to long-term weight loss? Because we know that some of those things work, but it's a
Yeah.
very short-term fix. And what we also see is that a lot of times it goes right back, right? That weight gains back, comes back when they stop eating that way. And there's some real short-term benefits, but then long-term, it doesn't really work out all the time. So what's the best way for long-term weight loss?
It's a bit of a loaded question. It's complicated too, but it's very. I mean, that's what everyone wants to know. What's the best way? Because yeah, as you said, a lot of people, and I would say the grand majority, if not, up to 99, 98% of those that do lose weight gain it back. Why? Why is that happening? I think part of it does have to do with the fact, the tactics that they are using, whether it's keto or fasting or, some type of pill regimen that they're doing, it's not sustainable, right? They're so strict that you can follow it for a little while, but you can't stick with it. So that's a major problem right there, is just the approach that you're taking is not sustainable in the long run. And typically, if you can't stick with whatever got you there, whatever got you the initial results, if you can't stick with that, you're going to regain it right there, right then and there. I think a second aspect too is that the fact that you are doing those diets that are very, very restrictive, usually very aggressive, because an aggressive diet is needed if you're going to try and get it off quickly, which is what we all want. That has a metabolic impact that we don't often realize too. It impacts our hormones, our metabolic rate, um, thyroid output, reproductive hormones, and that has a big impact on our body's ability to sustainably continue to lose weight and to keep it off. But on top of that, there's an aspect that a lot of people don't ever look at. And that's just like the fact that we self-sabotage, and the fact that we, there's the whole mental fortitude aspect, which a lot of people think is just willpower based, but it's not even that. I think it's more like what drives our decision making, what drives our behaviors, and oftentimes we don't even know what that is. And so we have a process of discovery that we really dig into on the mental aspect side of things, that allows us to uncover those things, those limiting beliefs, those self-sabotage behaviors, what drives those. And if we can figure out what those are, honestly, you could do a restrictive diet. You could do any of those things and make it work. Now, it's probably not the best idea because those things aren't always the healthiest route. But if you can uncover that third element and figure that out, it really does make almost anything possible. But we kind of take that we kind of try to attack it from those three different aspects.
Now, is it just asking questions, trying to get down to what those things are? Is there a specific method that
Specific
you use?
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some very specific questions that we use to help uncover those. And there's a process of, it's coaching. I'm not going to say it's psychology because I'm not a psychologist by any means. But it's a matter of like getting to know the person. So I would say that our style of coaching is more relationship based coaching. Um, Otherwise, you're just a meal plan adjuster. You're just, you might as well be a robot, not a human. And so it's very human based. We try to get to know the person. What triggers them? What are their cues? What are some of the behaviors that are, deep seated from past experiences, even past diets, and then even digging into the hormones. What is causing them? What deficiencies might exist? And so it really is like a whole comprehensive approach rather than just like eat this and do this and don't do that. I think that black and white approach just doesn't work. It can work temporarily, short-term results, as you said, and then until it doesn't. And then they gain it all back, and then they're in a worse off position than before they started.
Yeah, because then they're feeling defeated and they're feeling like, what did I do all that for? Right. Because it's not a
Yeah.
sustainable plan or
Yeah.
plan of attack.
Yeah,
So
there's the whole mental aspect of being defeated, and then there's the internal hormonal detrimental effects that people don't often realize until they actually go do some blood work.
yeah. So is that one of the key things that's missing with most weight loss solutions? Is that mental aspect, those self-limiting types of
Yeah.
behaviors, or are there other things?
I really believe that that's at the heart of it. It's like when, the root cause, and we don't ever discover what those are. Sometimes it happens organically through the physical transformation, but typically it has to lead with that internal aspect. And that's kind of like part of the method that we've been able to develop. I can't claim it all by my own. It's come through working with high performance coaches, life coaches, performance coaches, people that are really, really knowledgeable in that area that we've been able to work with and train with, and develop a strategy unique to ourselves or unique to our program related to fitness. But it does lead to so many other aspects in life improving, and we see improved relationships, improved career paths. It makes them so much happier and more fulfilled. It's not just that physical, yeah, I fit better in my jeans. It's I fit better in my jeans, and I feel amazing, and I'm super happy, and I'm more successful, and I have a much better relationship, more healthier relationship. And it really is like all encompassing.
Nice. And so once those things have been discovered, and you are able to kind of build that relationship with the individual, are we talking then, we talked about some things that other solutions have, meal planning, uh, staying away from certain foods.
Sure.
Is it a macro plan that is comes up with that's unique to each individual? Is it based on test results that they've had? What's the next step?
Yeah. So when you get into like the real tactical, I will call them like kind of surface level things, but you do need those because you have to have some sort of plan. You can just be like, oh, we uncovered, your demons. You're not going to think yourself way to fitness, right? You have to have some sort of strategy. And so I really do believe in, kind of going back to the sustainable approach. If you really start to restrict, and the restriction in and of itself is going to create all sorts of problems. And this is part of the problem with dieting in and of itself, where like let's say you do the ketogenic diet. After having done that, you're likely going to have a fear of carbs. You're just going to think that, oh, if I eat carbs, I'm going to get fat. And then some people even think that, like, oh, you just don't process carbs that well. Well, you're a human, right? So you can handle carbs, I promise you. In fact, it is your body's preferred energy source. But since you've done that diet, and maybe it's not the only one that you've done where that's demonized carbs, or you did another one that demonized fats, or another one that demonized protein or animal sources, they all these things demonize and restrict something. And so it creates all sorts of phobias and things like that. But so we try to open it up and be like, hey, you can eat pretty much anything. Obviously, the majority of what you eat should be nutrient dense, whole, unprocessed foods. But that doesn't mean that if you eat the majority of that you need to restrict a cookie. Like you can't ever have a cookie. You can't ever have a donut. You can't ever have pizza with your family on a Friday night. You can have popcorn in the theaters. You can do those things. That's living life. That's part of the human experience. But when you're on a diet, that's off limits. That's part of the reason why they fail. So why are we teaching behaviors that are going to lead to failure, that as part of a temporary solution, because that's only going to lead to temporary results. So we need a more sustainable solution that's going to lead to sustainable results, that allows you to live life, that allows you to have that human experience without feeling so restricted.
Yeah, and it's very much, this reactive culture that we've had even in our medical community, where,
Yeah.
you go back years, and eggs were vilified, and then dairy was
Yeah.
vilified, milk was vilified. And some of these things
Just-
have been found out to be totally false, that all of those things have a place in a healthy diet. And
yeah.
and it's the same thing with diet plans. It's like, you think about even like cholesterol, before well, they've definitely confirmed that trans fats, they're
Right.
basically getting rid of that, which is a good thing. But, it was cholesterol is bad. If your cholesterol is this, well, then they really got into it. And it's like, well, now it's HDLs, LDLs, but even those things, not necessarily just if that's a little high, is that a risk, right? So
It's
there's,
not necessarily correlated to heart disease.
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we try, I think that we try to break these things down to say, oh, you can't have this one thing and then you'll be healthy, or take this one thing and then you'll be healthy. And the body is so complex and it's so interrelated with everything else, and all the systems work together, that always set me off, because it was like, that we don't even have any idea sometimes. And those that try to put a blanket approach to everybody's fitness or everybody's diet just never
Yeah.
sat well with me, because everybody's different. They have their own things that they're dealing with. Their body could be different in some ways. So I like the approach that it seems your program takes, very tailors to each individual.
Yeah. Well, as you said, like I think that it's just the fitness world is just so full of dogma, and so many people have that very narrow-minded, single-minded approach that this is the best way for everyone. And that's your sign. If you hear that from somebody, that's how you know you shouldn't believe them. Because if somebody believes that, and some of them really are have that like really strong conviction, and I mean, it could just be for money, could be marketing, because you have to have conviction to have convincing marketing message. But if somebody's saying that, that's how you know it's BS, because that's not true. There's no situation on earth where that's always going to be true. That you can't have a blanket approach that's going to work for every single human. That just doesn't exist.
Yeah. So the other piece of fitness that everybody, there seems to be, two sides to this, is you have people that are like, oh, I just do cardio. I run all the time.
Mhm.
I do my exercise bikes. I walk 10,000 steps a day, and that's good. And then there's others who, just bodybuild, and they're just weight training
Yeah.
99% of the time. They sit at a desk the rest of the day, right? So what role does bodybuilding play? Because there are benefits to it. How does it work for someone to be, to be fit? What role does building muscle play in that process?
Well, I mean, obviously, I am a bodybuilder. I'm a pro bodybuilder. I turned pro back in 2018, and I've since retired. It does kind of make me personally, as a bodybuilder, a little bit of a one trick pony. Meaning, like, I'm a pick things up and put things down kind of guy. I actually did a Spartan race about a month ago, and because my body was so not adapted to some of the obstacles, that we did actually tore my bicep. I'm recovering from it.
Oh
I don't, I'm
no.
not wearing anything, but can't even see but yeah, my biceps pretty shrunken down right now because I'm only 2.5 weeks post-op. But yeah, doing swinging on the rings, it just ripped it right off the bone. Part of it too is, I'm in my 40s, but some of the stuff that I did. But when it comes to everybody else, I don't try to make anybody a bodybuilder that doesn't want to be a bodybuilder. I think you got to find what works best. So if somebody comes to me, like say you come to me and you're like, you know what, I really want to get fit. I like to play basketball a couple times a week. I want to be able to play with my kids. Um, I don't have a ton of time. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to incorporate basketball. We're going to make the workouts quick and efficient so you can fit it into your day. That's going to lead to better success than saying, okay, you need to take that because that would be eating my own words and being very hypocritical if I said everybody needs to go weight train and they need to do it just like this, like a bodybuilder. That's my version of dogma. That doesn't make sense, right? So I need to give something that's going to work for you. And again, if you enjoy of riding your bike or enjoy playing basketball or enjoy going on hikes or rock climbing or something like that, we would incorporate those things because you are way more likely to do those things on a continual basis if you enjoy it. So, and you could develop a love for weight training, but I do believe that some resistance training in some aspect is needed because you don't, if all you do is run, you're going to burn off a lot of muscle in the process, and muscle is needed. In fact, the older we get, the bigger demand we have to build muscle, especially helps with bone density and things like that. But sarcopenia, which is a term, just means like muscle loss with age, that needs to be taken care of. I mean, you probably should lift. There's a higher demand to lift when you're 80 than it is when you're 20. Honestly, that's just due to hormones and aging process. But yeah, I think resistance training is something that everybody should be doing, but you also need to incorporate things that you enjoy and things that can be done with your given circumstances.
And isn't it true, the more muscle that we have on our body, the more calories our body naturally burns. Just normal movements
Absolutely.
burn more calories
Yeah.
if you have more muscle on your frame.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Even at rest, you're going to burn more calories.
Yeah.
Like I use myself as an example all the time. And I'm 220 pounds. I'm 5'9". I have a low body fat percentage. But if I just sat on my butt all day, and if I didn't eat at least 3,000 calories every day, by the end of the week, I'd probably be down 5 or 6 pounds, because that's how much is required to sustain my mass. And it's so it does help, improve your metabolic rate and improves health. And so when you look at some of these programs, and there are a lot of programs out there that encourage you to not exercise one bit, because it's, for one, it can drive up hunger. And two, if you are sustaining muscle mass, like not even building, but if you're just keeping the muscle mass that you have, then you're going to lose less weight. And so if all you're focused on is the scale instead of just fat, because that's what we should be losing, that's what we should be focusing on, is losing fat, not just losing weight indiscriminately, then you're going to end up with a crippled metabolism, because you're going to lower your metabolic rate, because simply due to the fact that you have lost muscle in the process, which is very metabolically active tissue. Fat is too, but to a much lesser degree.
Right. And the one other thing I wanted to touch on is we talked about some of the beliefs and things that you try to understand with an individual, what may be sabotaging their efforts or have sabotaged them in the past. And one thing that
Yeah.
all of us have are relationships, whether that's with our boss or our significant other or our kids or other family members. So,
Yeah.
how does this fitness that because I'm sure you delve into this as well, and you've talked about how it makes people feel better. How does a
Mhm.
relationship and an ability to have productive, healthy relationships correlate with being healthier as a person?
Well, you could look at a few different aspects when it comes to relationships. Even if you go to the intimacy side of things, and I'm not even. I think when a lot of people think, or their minds immediately go to, oh, I'm going to be more attractive to the opposite sex. I wouldn't even say that that's it. I would say that there's an element of that, sure, but I think that what it comes down to is your own confidence in yourself. Um, and that's going to lead to more intimacy. Like, you're going to feel more comfortable being intimate with your spouse if you feel better about yourself. Because there's a lot of people that prohibits them and limits them from even wanting to be intimate with their partner, because they don't feel good about themselves, right? And that's a big thing. But not only that, but just confidence in yourself, right? Nobody wants to be around somebody that's just negative all the time, and has no self confidence to speak of. So even, not even just personal relationships, but professional relationships. Let's say you're a salesperson that, unfortunately, maybe have really poor body composition, you're really overweight, and you don't have really good hygiene, and you just don't take care of yourself. It leaves an impression on people, right? So that's it. It says a lot about yourself, but it's not just that, but it's more just how you conduct yourself. And that has a lot to do with your physical fitness. You don't need to be like super in great shape, but you need to be confident about how you look and how you feel. And that affects your mood and your interactions, and just even your tone that you take with people.
Yeah, and it definitely even impacts your outlook. I mean, if you're waking
Yeah.
up and you're able to do the things you need to do, whether it's playing with your kids or going out and running, playing basketball with your friends and keeping up with guys that may be 10 years younger than you, it engenders this feeling that I can do it. I can accomplish things, right? And
Yeah.
conversely, if you're living a very sedentary lifestyle and you have to deal with the struggle of getting the energy up to go do something, but then at the same time,
Right.
you're dealing with how hard it is for you to do anything you try to do, which leads to more sedentary because it's easier. So, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I grew up with that. My dad is actually a physician, but he's quite overweight. And he had knee surgery back when he was in high school, and the procedures back then weren't fantastic. Has huge scars, which it doesn't happen like that these days. But his overweight led to him being just exhausted and tired all the time. And so his participation level with anything physical was non-existent. I never really excelled in sports because, and I'm not going to blame my dad, but he wasn't really ever there to teach me anything. I wasn't ever there to play catch with me because he was too tired. And
Mm.
honestly, some of this stuff I don't even know if I realized before talking about, but it is one of those things that it really can impair just your interaction with your kids. Like I've had people tell me, I had a woman tell me just last week where she went to a water park with her kids, and typically she wouldn't ever participate, wouldn't even uncover, wouldn't go swim with them. She would just kind of watch them and sit in the chair. But now she's going down the slide, she's in the wave pool, she's in the lazy river with them. And it's not like she's like ripped and super fit, but she is, out there participating actively because she feels great about it and she feels great about herself and she has the energy to do so.
Yeah, that's a great example. And I think that's what everybody wants. And if they could see that endpoint, and continue to keep that focused in their mind, then it would help them to take the steps that they need to get there. And you're obviously
Absolutely.
helping your clients do that one client at a time.
Yep. Yep. One client at a time.
So if you had anything for my listeners that you'd want to end this on, what would it be? What would be the message you'd want them to hear?
Uh, well, I would say if there's one thing that all the people that have had success with their fitness and honestly with anything in life, is that they have perseverance. They don't give up. They have that grit and they're always putting forth that effort. I've seen there's memes about this where someone is like, let's say there's a little cartoon where they're digging for buried treasure and they're showing kind of the side view and they're digging, and they stop right before they're going to reach that gold. And so many people are like that with fitness, with their business potentially. They give up. They get that, they have that defeated mentality, and they just accept the status quo and they don't push to excel. And if it would come, and you are guaranteed to get there if you don't give up. And you're also guaranteed to never get there if you do. So you got to choose your guarantee.
Yeah, that's a great illustration. I've heard it with the what's at the birthday parties, the things that the kids hit to try and get candy to come out of it.
The pinata.
Yeah, the pinata. And so I've heard it illustrated where, the last kid that hits it and gets the candy to come out, it wasn't him hitting it that caused it. It was all the other hits from the other kids that had whacked at
Yeah.
that same pinata, right? And so, yeah,
Right.
completely agree that we as humans sometimes get right to that point and then we stop, and we don't know that sometimes we're right on the precipice
just
of
right
making a
there.
breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We
No,
get
this has
impatient.
been, yeah, this has been great, Jeff. I appreciate the time. So if you want to see what's going on with your website, where can they go?
So they can go to laterlife.com, and it's L8R,
All right, we'll
laterlife.com.
put that in the show notes. Laterlife.com. It's Later Lifestyle. You also have an app out there. I saw that for your clients to utilize. Seems like it was pretty all inclusive of everything they need to keep track of. So that looks
It is. Yep.
looks pretty great. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate your time. This was a great conversation. So if you're looking to, excel in fitness or to take that next step in your own personal health and fitness, you can't go wrong with a guy like Jeff Later and his program, laterlife.com. It's the Later Lifestyle. Let's use this. This is one of these things that you could sign up for and potentially could change your life from a fitness and health standpoint. So appreciate the time,
Absolutely.
Jeff. Thank you so much.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on our journey to learn about various topics. If you'd like to get in touch with the Dad Who Knows Nothing, connect with him at the Dad Who Knows Nothing on TikTok and Instagram, or Dad Knows Zero on Twitter. If you have a moment and you like this episode, drop us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Have a great day and enjoy your journey through this game called life.